One of the questions we get in Crest is, what's a good book that I should read? There are so many good books about leadership, we don't know where to start. And that's one of the things that we can actually help you with in Crest, is picking out some of the best books you can read. And one who really helps us with that is Dr. Terry Young. He helps us with our Masters in Christian Leadership course. And Terry, tell us about the book you're recommending today.
It's the book by Simon Sinek. It's a new book that he has written entitled The Infinite Game. Simon Sinek is known, and we touch on this in our Masters in Christian Leadership. When we talk about purpose vision, one of the great books on that is Simon Sinek's book, First Ask Why. This is a more recent book, just recently written in the last year, entitled The Infinite Game. And what Sinek seeks to do is remind us that many of the enterprises that we engage in get trapped in what he calls the finite game. And the finite game is the game of winners and losers. It's the idea that everyone, is trying to be number one in their particular category. They're trying to be number one in, the industry that they're in. They're trying to be number one in some measure. And with that finite mindset, if there's a number one, then there's a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to infinity. And we have this kind of idea that there are winners and losers. And he goes into the history of how we've gotten there. And so it's intriguing how he writes about the fact that capitalism, which is capitalism in its raw form, is most often viewed as a finite game. So the whole idea of shareholder value got put in place in the mindset of many, many businesses. And so the finite game is to make sure you get return for your shareholders at all cost. So competition, comparison, it becomes a dog-eat-dog kind of environment. And we end up with a finite game, which he says it should not surprise us then that to win that game, we do all kinds of things like cheat.
Oh, wow.
We do all kinds of things like we fudge the numbers. We do creative accounting. We do, because we want to make sure that somehow, somewhere, we end up at the top. So the finite game is a game that he is trying to simply put the spotlight on, and he's trying to draw our attention to the fact there is another game called the infinite game. So in the book, he deals with these elements of what the infinite game involves. And he points out that the infinite game involves a just cause, the shaping of trusting teams, working with a worthy rival, then being existentially flexible, adaptable, and having the courage to lead in keeping with what your just cause is. In this particular infinite game, it's not a matter of winners and losers. It's a matter of figuring out what is the best work and the good work you're to do in the world, and doing it to the best of your ability, realizing that you're not doing it for mere profits. You're not doing it for simple success, to be number one. You're doing it because your just cause matters. So that's sort of the model that he deals with, and weaves in marvelous stories of the finite game that should be cautionary tales, but then the infinite game that is being played by more and more enterprises, and it is so enriching to see that game being played.
Well, that's a good sound of hope here to get us away from this fierce competition that you described at the beginning. So next time, maybe you could dive into those 5 elements in more detail and give us a good idea of what this actually looks like.
We'll do that. Yeah.